Now, Billy, let's bring in our next guest, Simonian Insurance. Albert, how are you?
How's it going, Chuck?
Really good to see you, buddy. Now, I'm looking outside. I'm looking at all this weather. Okay?
Yeah.
We got 70 degrees today, and then we get rain this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a chance we get some little buds popping out on these trees, and the rain comes and knocks them out? Is that something that gets covered in insurance?
Absolutely, absolutely. Matter of fact, that's one of the most common things. You know, that all of a sudden there's a change in weather and it messes up the crops, and that's exactly one of the nice things that we can insure the crops for.
But this is really insurance at its best. This is the gamble right here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're betting them that their crops are going to be okay, and they're betting you that their crops aren't going to be okay.
Exactly, yeah. But you know, that's one of the fascinating things about insurance. You know, people think that insurance is boring, but nah, there's nothing boring about insurance. You know, matter of fact, one of the nice things about this time of year, other than crop insurance, is, for example, you know, you got the holidays coming up. You got Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the lady that was here earlier, she was showing off how people like to get flowers for Valentine's Day. What about jewelry? People get jewelry for Valentine's Day, right?
Sure.
Is it insured properly? That's another thing. Because many
probably
times,
not.
well,
I think you're more concerned about getting the jewelry and
Exactly.
delivering the jewelry
Right.
and getting a great response for the jewelry than the insurance part of it.
yeah, but a lot of
people think, my home insurance will take care of it.
Exactly, exactly. But you see, that's an issue, and that's one of the reasons why we love to do insurance reviews. Because on your homeowner's policy, yeah, you have coverage for jewelry, but you have certain limits, okay? And if you got a $15,000 or $20,000 diamond ring, that's not going to be automatically covered on your homeowner's policy.
Because your level might be a lot lower than that?
Right, because let's say, for example, you have coverage on your homeowners, and it states, okay, you have $3,000 of coverage for jewelry. But it states that it's a per item limit. So maybe the per item limit is $1,000 or $1,500. So what happens with that $15,000 or $20,000 piece of jewelry? That's why you need to schedule it. It's where you purchase a floater on your insurance policy where you specifically insure that item for that amount, and it's not subject to your homeowner's deductible. Okay.
I'll tell you what, you give your wife a $20,000 ring and then try to replace it with a $1,500 ring.
It's not going to go well.
You're going to wish you had. You're going to need other kind of insurance.
Yeah, you're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need a
medical
divorce
insurance.
Lawyer. Exactly, exactly. So those are the kind of things that you have to discover when you do the yearly reviews for your customers. As a matter of fact, I had a customer just the other day calling just to make a payment, and in just normal chit chat, turns out that the girlfriend is going back to school to get her degree to become a teacher. So right away I told her, you know, when you become a teacher and you become a member of the Teachers Association, I have a lot of insurance companies that give additional discounts if you are a member of the association. See, those are the kind of things that you can't pick up or figure out.
There's a lot of insurance people that would just keep on taking the payment.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
They wouldn't do a yearly review.
No, and that's very important because we want to make sure that if you have a claim, we want to make sure it's done right, it's taken care of correctly. I had another customer just a few days ago. He calls me in to do an insurance review because his mom had just passed away, and he inherited over $150,000 worth of antiques and fine arts. And he's thinking, oh, well, this is automatically covered on my homeowners. And I go, no, it's not. You know, we have to make sure that it's covered properly. And he goes, yeah, but I've got $150,000 worth of personal property coverage on my insurance. I go, well, that only applies if your house burns down to the ground and you lose absolutely everything. Then, yeah, you have that lump sum. But if somebody comes in and steals one of those paintings or one of those, or all of them, you know, you're going to be subject to those sublimits. And that's why we need to make sure that it's insured properly.
How many different types of insurance does Simonian do?
Oh, man. We're talking about personal lines. We do homeowners. We do personal auto, personal umbrellas, which is very important nowadays. We also have...
What's a personal umbrella?
Well, you know, let's say, for example, you have an accident and you are liable. You're responsible for it. And the amount of damages that you cause to the other party exceeds what your limits on your insurance are. Okay? Well, the umbrella is designed to go over your auto, your RV insurance, your home, you know, so...
It's CYA insurance.
CYA?
Yeah. Cover your ass.
Pretty right? Well, no. You have to cover your assets.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the ag insurance.
Okay.
Now, ag insurance here in the Valley. I mean, we're the ag capital of the world.
That's right.
But how does it work with the ag people, with the farmers?
Well, you know, it just depends on what exactly they're looking for. You know, sometimes they're just looking to cover the crops themselves or the equipment. Mm-hmm. You know, the farmers have many thousands of dollars worth of farming equipment that they utilize, so that has to be insured. Many farmers have different properties that are on their farms. Sometimes those properties are utilized by the workers. Sometimes those properties are occupied by themselves or family members. You know, so those are the different things that we have to.
And we're talking about the workers, so the workers need insurance too. I mean, if they get hurt on the job, they can really sock it to them, right?
Well, now you got the workers' comp, you know, and we cover that as well, because we, you know.
I thought in the past that the farmers weren't doing the workers' comp.
No, the farmers do workers' comp on the employees because it's required by the state. You know, now sometimes if they use a subcontractor, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. But one thing that's really interesting, Chuck. There's a fine line between a subcontractor and an employee. A lot of people think, oh, if I just pay them with a 1099, I'm golden. Not necessarily. Because if they don't fall within the guidelines of what a true subcontractor is, the state can come back and say, guess what? That's an employee. You're subject to workers' comp.
And if it's on your property, it's on your property.
Exactly. No
matter what they're doing.
Right. You're absolutely right. So those are the different things and the many aspects of insurance that we have to look at, you know. One of the things that we're hoping on talking about next week when we come back on the show, I'm going to bring back one of the girls that she's an expert on recall insurance.
What do you mean recall insurance?
When you have a recall on a product. You know, sometimes...
A manufacturer?
Oh yeah, they have a lawsuit and
car maker.
Yeah, right. or even someone that has any type of product. They can have raisins or anything like that. They can have a huge lawsuit that has to do with recalling a product, and we can cover for that as well.
Albert, are most people less insured than they should be?
You know what? Unfortunately, yes. And the reason for that is because everyone is just trying to save a buck, which is normal. I mean, I look at insurance.
Well, I mean, we went through a bad economic time for our country. I think people are just trying to stay afloat, too.
Yeah. Right? And, there's nothing wrong with that because, I look at insurance as an agent, but I'm a consumer as well. And, if my insurance goes up, my homeowners or my auto insurance goes up, my wife is on the phone saying, hey, insurance guy, what's going on? So we're looking for saving money as well.
Is that something people should do? Should they question?
Oh, absolutely.
Hikes in their premiums?
There's nothing wrong with that because many things affect your premium rates, okay? And that's why it's so important to review your coverages because your circumstances can change. Let's say, for example, your auto insurance is really high because you had a couple of teenagers on your policy and you're paying top dollar for that insurance policy. But guess what? Those kids have moved out. They're in college, okay? And they come to the home maybe twice, 3 times a year. Well, maybe we can remove them from your policy and make sure that those rates go down, okay? Or, for example, a vehicle that's not being utilized as much and your driving has gone down. For example, my mother-in-law, just recently, we had to reduce the mileage on her insurance because she does hardly any driving. And all of a sudden, when we reduced the mileage, she saved an extra $175 for 6 months.
Insurance is a tricky thing. It's a tough buy.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. There's some people out there in the insurance business that aren't out for their customers' best interest.
No, and it's sad because it gives the industry a bad name. Mm-hmm. I'll give you another example of where we see a lot of errors that occur when it comes to insurance. When you have auto insurance, most people say, "Oh, I'm okay. I have full coverage." What do you understand by having full coverage? What do you think that means?
Well, I think what some people think it means is that everything.
Everything's covered. But they don't realize that full coverage does not really mean that, because they look at their policy and they look, "Oh, I got full coverage here." And then we look at it and we go, "Yeah, you have full coverage," meaning that you have the liability, but you have also comprehensive and collision, and that's considered the full coverage. But look at your limits. You have the base limits that are required by the state. You have 1530, which means 15,000 per accident. I'm sorry, per person, mm-hmm. and $30,000 per accident, and $10,000 of personal property.
With cars as expensive as they are, medical
right.
practice so expensive, that doesn't even pan out these days.
Well, what happens if you total a $60,000 or $70,000 SUV and it's your fault, and you have those small limits?
And let's not forget that people want to save a couple bucks every once in a while. That insurance agent might do something like remove uninsured motorists.
Oh,
something like that.
Well, not just that, uninsured or underinsured motorists. There's a big difference. The other day, a customer wanted to know. He says, "Aren't those the same thing?" And I know. Uninsured motorist is coverage if you are in an accident, the other person is at fault, and is uninsured. But what if you get involved in an accident, it's the other person's fault, they have insurance, but they don't have enough insurance. They just have the lowest limits that are allowed by the state, and they just totaled my $80,000 Mercedes.
Oh my God. Albert, people out there that need insurance, or maybe want to see if they can save money on their insurance, how do they get a hold of you?
You know, even if they want an insurance review, I don't care if you have insurance with someone else. You give me a call at 559-834-5333, and I'll be more than happy to review your policies. And it doesn't matter if you have your coverage with someone else. I'll be more than happy to do that.
When I wanted an insurance company to be a sponsor of the Buzz, we had numerous insurance companies that wanted to come on. You know what I said? I want Simonian.
That's right.
I want Simonian not only for their name, but for the way they do business.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you very much,
see
Albert.
you next week.
We're going to take a quick commercial. No. We're going to take off for the day. Oh, my gosh.